up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back for episode number 7 of Mocking the Mock Detroit Lions edition. So let's get it started.
You know, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, you know, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to that video. Glad you guys are here. And I'm excited to be back with another one of these videos, man. These videos are fun. They take a while to make, but they are fun. But I gotta say, let's clap it up a little bit. Successfully, the last 2 episodes we've done have been closer to 20 minutes than 30 minutes. Okay, that's something to be happy about. We've successfully, now we're going to try that again today. But here's what we've been doing recently. I say 3 things I like and 3 things that I don't like about the said prospect. If I can think of 3 things. I'm going to try to think of different things to say about each prospect. That way I'm not giving you guys the same answer every time. Here's the 3 things I like. Here, I'm saying the same. That happens. It does happen because there are similar things that I do like. But yes, I'm going to try to mix it up, change it up. I do 3. That way I don't over speak on a certain player and we keep the video moving. If you guys want to know more about these prospects and more prospects that are going to be available in this year's draft, I'm currently working on a website for that. Now, it is a work in progress, but if you want more information, let me know in the comment section below and I'll hit you up. It's not completely official yet, but it's coming. It's coming. All right, so let's just get right into today's video. Today comes from my man, an absolute OG of the channel. Is that fair? This is Kobe. All right, Kobe. Shout out to my man, Kobe. If you guys follow DoseOfDion Gaming, you know when we used to do our Call of Duty Warzone streams, I play with Kobe a ton. All right. Shout out to my man. He sent me this one with no trades. He sent this a little while ago, and I had to get this video in. I had to react to his mock draft. There's a couple of other guys that I know I have to react to as well, like my man Austin. Okay, I got to get those guys in there. Some of the legends that really helped me out and have been like here since, like, you know, since we were yay high, even though it hasn't been that long. But you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. But we got a lot to go through, so just keep that in mind. Once again, you guys can send in video links if you want to do your own breakdown. I can react to it. But let's just get right into this thing. So no trades in this mock draft. I think you're going to like it. Let's get it started. So with the 7th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select. They actually select someone this time because there are no trades. This is JaMarr Chase, the receiver out of LSU. So JaMarr is a Lion at 6'1", 200 pounds. Maybe the best receiver in this class. Man, it's so tough to decide. And because he didn't play in 2020 makes it even more difficult. I don't know. I feel like it makes it more difficult because you just don't know how he would have looked in 2020. You don't know if he would have got better. Could he have taken a step back? You don't know what he looks like in the offseason. But I can tell you in 2019, this guy was an absolute problem. He was a problem. We'll take the first receiver off the board if they take a receiver. You know, they definitely could go earlier than that. But there's some really good receivers in this class, and it seems like you can't go wrong. But they all do bring a different skill set. And JaMarr Chase brings a vastly different skill set from Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith, but he is great at what he does. I like it because he's a more physical receiver. At 200 pounds, he weighs a little bit more. He's a little more built than some of the other receivers that you will see on here, but he doesn't have that same twitch or explosiveness that the other top receivers give you in this class. Some of that obviously has to do with size, but because of that size, he can be kind of a problem for some of those cornerbacks. I mean, he's tough to bring down. He has a lot of broken tackles. He also can work against the press pretty well using his hands, a little bit more power there. And I also love the strength that he has on contested grass. Man, he'll just rip it. He'll just rip it out of the air. No perfect prospects, I don't think. And, you know, one of those things can be off the release. He's not the twitchiest or the quickest off the release, so he can have some issues there getting immediate separation like some of the other quicker receivers can. But the benefit that he gives you off the release is some of that size, so he can be a little bit, you know, he can push back a little bit. I'll say that. He can push back a little bit. He also, like I said, didn't play last season, which I look at as kind of an issue because I wish I could have seen him. But when we saw him in 2019, this guy was putting up outstanding numbers. I mean, hey, he was putting up not Devontae Smith numbers, but they were up there. They were close to what Devontae Smith did last season. JaMarr Chase is an absolute baller. JaMarr Chase was the best deep threat when he played in 2019. I mean, he had 24 grabs for over, 20 yards, and he only had 36 passes targeted. Highest pass rating Joe Burrow had came when he was throwing the ball to JaMarr Chase 20-plus yards. He only had 1 drop on those passes compared to 3 drops on short area passes. He's a deep threat, but the thing is, he's not the biggest guy. Actually, 6 foot could be an issue at the next level. What I've noticed about his game is he gives you a nice little bag of tricks. Some pretty solid speed, but he tracks the ball out of the air so well. I mean, he just finds it, tracks it, goes up, and takes it out of the air. Such a great deep threat. Really good deep threat. Strong hands. He's pretty physical. And like I said, he's not the elite or twitchy guy. He's not this type of player that you snap and you throw screens. You just try to get him into space. He didn't actually have that many screen catches when he played. He was about getting downfield, and that was when he was at his best. So he's a downfield threat. He'll stretch the field in a different way from just simply speed. JaMarr Chase's substitution for not being as elusive in space as a Waddle or a Smith is that he is stronger than those guys. He's tougher to bring down. He breaks more tackles. Now, as a blocker, I did notice on and off certain games, it didn't look like he was giving tons of effort, and in other games, it looked like he was fighting with the corner, like they were about to brawl. So, brawl all like, and now he is a Detroit Lion. So that is the 7th pick. So Lions get the receiver. Now, I don't think Kobe told me. Hey, Kobe, I know you'll be in the comment section, man. So if you could let us know like what your plans were for free agency. But I think based on the draft, I have a good feeling about this. We'll talk about it at the end. I don't want to spoil anything, but let's go on to the 2nd pick. So in the 2nd round, with the is it 43rd or 39th? It's the 41st, my goodness. With the 41st pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select. Oh, Kobe, come on, man. Come on, man. You ain't do this. Come on, man. Can you guys okay, make a guess. I'm going to wait like Dora and just say, hey, who is it? Who do you think it is? Did you guess it? Come on, man. Come on. You know I'm smiling. It's Najee Harris. Oh, snap. Najee at 6'2", 230 pounds coming out of Bama. Oh, my goodness, man. I could not imagine Najee Harris and DeAndre Swift in that backfield. Oh, my goodness. Just get out the way. You know, like, move. Hey, get out the way. I'm just saying, Najee Harris would be a beautiful compliment to DeAndre Swift. Now, some people can say, well, Travis Etienne is better. Oh, Javonte Williams is better. I'm fine if you want to say that. I like me some Javonte Williams. But I can tell you, when you take a compliment to DeAndre Swift, you're looking at running backs that would complement well, that would give you something else, you know, something a little bit different, more of a power back. Najee Harris gives you everything that you'd want in a compliment as a running back, and he's arguably the best back in this class. Now, I know he doesn't have that top-end burner speed, the quickness, that, you know, that flashiness. He doesn't have that flashiness that some running backs make you excited about. You know, oh, wow, look how quick. Look at that burst and all that. But he's just a walking tank. I mean, Najee Harris is so tough to bring down, especially when you get him out in the open. I had him as my number 1 running back. I still do right now. All those are subject to change, so I just want to lay that out there. But I love me some Najee Harris, and he's so athletic for his size. I mean, I'm talking jumping over guys, quick cuts in the open field, and also the way he catches the ball. I mean, you just don't think about it. You're thinking, well, okay, well, he's just a big, strong running back. He catches the ball better than most running backs in the country. Now, while he doesn't line up at receiver like some of the other guys do consistently, he has some really good hands. Really good hands. I mean, he makes spectacular grabs. So it's not like all you can do is hand the ball off and that's it. He's a one-trick pony. You can send this guy out, and he's usually going to come down with the football. So he's a great receiver that has a little bit of underrated quickness. I see him a little bit hesitant at times when he hits the line of scrimmage, you know, trying to be a little bit too bouncy. But for the most part, I mean, I like a lot of things about him. He's also a little tall for running back. 6'2" is kind of tall. It's not a low center of gravity like a Khalil Herbert. All right, it's a little tall. And I also, like I said, he doesn't have that speed or burst. He doesn't have that second gear. He doesn't even have that, you know, super quick burst out of the pack. But man, I mean, you're talking about a compliment to Swift that defenses are going to hate to go against because he's going to wear you out. That's Najee Harris. Okay, wow. So back-to-back weapons. Whoa, okay, man. And that moves us to number 72. So now into the 3rd round, our first 3rd round pick. At number 72, the Detroit Lions select. I'm gonna give you all a second between each one so you guys try to guess. The Detroit Lions select, see how many you can get right. Rashod Weaver. Rashod Weaver, the defensive end / edge out of Pittsburgh. Now, Rashod Weaver comes in at 6'5", 270 pounds. We've had Rashod Weaver mocked a few times, so I'll try to give you a little something different here. But what I do is I've already watched this guy. I've already had my notes and stuff, but I always like to go through when I get, you know, a mock draft, and I like to rewatch the guys again. That way I don't have any recency bias because that can always happen, and I want to have different takeaways that I compare them to what I already had, and I can add to in my notes there, and that's why my notes continue to update and update and update and update. And again, if you guys want to see these notes, hit me up, man. Hit me up. I can hit you up with these. And then once this thing gets popping, you know, it'll be easy to access. It is easy to access now, but it's, you know what I mean. Rashod Weaver out of Pittsburgh. I don't know if this is the direct replacement for Romeo Okwara, but I'm kind of thinking it is. And I'll explain that at the end of the video. I'll still wait on that. But either way, Rashod Weaver gives you a nice little, I would say he's pretty versatile as a defensive end. He can line up both, and I think in a 3-4 set and a 4-3 set because of his size. He also can play with his hand in the dirt and out of the dirt as well. I've seen him push to the inside with standing. I've seen him pushed in the inside in a 2-point stance, you know, attacking the middle. So he can move around a little bit on the defensive line, which is nice. But my favorite personal part about his game, and I know he has all these numbers and stuff, my favorite part about his game is the way that he attacks the run. Okay, not even attacks, the way that he sets the edge against the run. I've probably said this before, but I like it too much not to bring it up because it's my favorite thing about his game. He sets the edge so well. He's just naturally very powerful. Now, I'm sure he's gotten the weight room worked out, but he's just a very powerful guy with really good size, 6'5", 270, pretty long. He just does such a great job of just walling off an offensive lineman, holding his ground, and setting the edge, and he's so disciplined in that. You see a lot of guys, kind of get jumpy in, they get antsy, and they jump inside, and something pops out. It's like, dang it. I don't see that often with Rashod Weaver. He does a really good job of staying home, setting that edge, and forcing plays back to the inside consistently. He plays with a lot of power. I think, it doesn't even look like he's trying. He just plays with a lot of power because of his size and, the strength that he does come with. And I also think he's got a lot of plans. Okay, what do I mean by that? Like, when he's pass rushing, he seems to have a plan. He doesn't seem to just run up there and kind of stop. Like, there's some pass rushers that sometimes they'll have a move, they don't always have a counter, and sometimes they'll run up there, they'll be hesitant, and they'll just kind of stand there. They don't really know what to do. They'll try to just run into him, they don't get by, and they just kind of stand there. That's not the case with Weaver. See, Weaver's on the older side of things, okay? He's not the youngest. He's going on 24. He might be 24 now, but he's not the youngest guy. However, the benefit to Rashod Weaver there is that he seems pretty polished with his pass rush moves and his counter moves. He just seems to always have a plan. He always has a backup option. When the first team doesn't work, he's got something else to go to, it seems like. But there are limitations to his game. First off, in 2019, he tore his ACL, so that's always a concern. But he did come back in 2020 pretty darn strong, so you're not too worried about that. Also, I would say athletically, he seems to have maybe some limits here. He is not going to wow you with his get-off. He's not going to wow you with his, quickness, with his elite athleticism on the outside. He's just not going to. That's just not who he is. But what I think is so impressive about that is that at the next level, you're not always going to win by, I'm just quicker than you. It's difficult to be quicker than guys consistently at the NFL level. You're going to get some of the best tackles, the best guard. I mean, you're going to the best of the best. And these guys have seen speed rushers before most of the time. Unless you're going against backups or things like that. So you have to find other ways to win your battles consistently. And that's what's impressive about Rashod Weaver. Is he has the production, but he also has been able to do it without being the most athletic player. But there is an athletic ceiling there. If you want strictly a speed rusher, this is not your guy. He's not a speed rusher off the edge. He'd be a little bit different from Romeo, I think, in that way. But that's just not who he is. He's not a speed rusher. That's not his archetype, I guess. He did rotate in and out, I noticed. Now, I don't think it's a big issue, but I did notice that with Pittsburgh, he was kind of in and out series to series. It wasn't like he was always on the field. So I don't know if that's a stamina thing. I don't know if that's because they just had the guys to do it. You could see a little bit of a difference when they were on the field, but he was rotated in and out. Just something that I noticed, just some note that I took down. Also, I feel like his balance needs work. Okay, this was kind of weird, but as I continue to watch 3 or 4 games on him, I noticed his balance can be a little off. And it seems like that forced him to lose leverage. You'll see him slip. I see it a lot of times actually from the inside. When he lines up on the inside, tries to attack an offensive lineman, probably bigger and stronger. It is one thing that I did notice, but he's not going to wow you with his athleticism, but he's been able to do really well against the run, but also he's been able to still put up production while not being the most explosive player, which is impressive. So if you want a speed rusher, this isn't your guy. I don't think he's going to be a top pass rusher out of this class. I know he has the numbers. I don't think he will be, but I think he'll be ready to go day one with his experience, and because I think he's a very fine-tuned, player. I think he really is. Like, I think this guy, has had that tune and, he's just been perfecting his craft over and over and over and over, okay? There's not a lot of rawness here. Gregory Rousseau's super raw, has all this talent, right? You're like, what can we get him to? He might not have that. He might be, okay, maybe a little bit better. We can continue to improve. You can always try to get quicker, but maybe he doesn't have the highest ceiling, but you can kind of bet that once he steps in, he'll be able to take over his starting role right away, and he'll give you help against the run, even if not as much as a pass rusher because of some of his explosiveness liabilities. I think one of his better games, personally, was against Clemson. I thought he just kind of dominated Carmen, honestly, on the outside there. I think that was a really good game, so if you guys want to check that out for Weaver. And that moves us on to our second third-round pick, and this is a cornerback. Now, I know this is Kobe's guy, because I think he's told me about him multiple times, and that is Eric Stokes, the corner out of Georgia. Yeah, he's told me about Eric a few times. Standing at 6'1", 185 pounds, he looks at Eric Stokes as a steal. He says he's a steal, man. Now, Eric Stokes is kind of difficult for me to gauge because I'm just not able to find him targeted a lot. And that's not a bad thing. They just don't throw his way a lot. He was only targeted 28 times in 2020. That's it. And I like to look at the recent, film if I can. Just wasn't targeted very often, which is not a bad thing. I'm saying that's a good thing. It's just really difficult, sometimes to see, how many plays he's going to make because his completion percentage given up is it's a little bit below average in terms of cornerbacks, but he's going against really good competition, to be fair. He's playing at Georgia, right? He's playing against the big dogs.
Did you see what I did there?
And you could see that his worst grade out game came against Bama, which is understandable. He lined up against Devontae Smith, and that's no easy task for anybody. But for 3 straight years, he's given you solid production. He's been a reliable, consistent player for Georgia. I would say one thing that I really like is that he's had so much experience playing press, and you can see the speed. The speed is there, plays a lot of press, and he's not afraid. He'll go on an island, he'll press up against any receiver he's going against, whether that's a super speedy receiver, whoever it is. There's no fear in Eric Stokes' eyes, man. He just goes at it in coverage. There are some concerns with his game. First off, he has some PI calls against him, and it seems like he finds himself with his hand around the offensive player too often. I'm not saying all the PI calls are egregious. You know, sometimes they kind of just slipped and fell, but that's what happens at the next level. He's got to make sure that he tries to keep one of those hands off. He does have a tendency to try to keep a hand on the receiver, which is a little worrisome. Also, stopping on a dime in space. You know, you're talking about timing routes, curls, comebacks, things like that. Stopping on a dime in space, he can be kind of slow to it. I see a slow reaction time. I see a stop, I see a curl, and then I see him kind of waiting and then trying to get back into the play. He's got that top line speed, but stopping in the open field, changing direction, that can be a little slow to that. And if you hit him quickly on those timing routes, he can give up a lot of separation. A lot of times I see separation early, and then he starts to close that gap with his speed, but there can be a lot of separation. It's not an easy task. I'm not saying it is. He plays a lot of man. I think he's a better man corner than a zone corner, but that's one thing I also noticed. And finally, I would say in tackling, he's not the most aggressive tackler. You know, I talk about a lot of good tacklers at corner. Not saying he's a bad tackler, he's just not super aggressive with it. Probably some of that has to do with his frame being only 185, but he's not the attacker when tackling, okay? He's not the guy that's super aggressive. He's going to try to run you over. He kind of puts himself in a position and just kind of waits there. He kind of just waits for it to happen, and you'll see him get run over by some bigger guys. He'll hang on, but he's not an attacker. Here's one little interesting observation I took away from watching Eric Stokes, and this is that he comes off the field when his receiver, it seems like that he's matched up for the game, comes off the field as well. I mean, he takes on the tough challenge on the outside, but you would think because of what he's good at, you would think he'd fit the slot the next level, like he could play that, right? He's fast, and he can play a lot of press. So you think, okay, that could be slot. Maybe it's to change the direction that's the issue there, and maybe as a tackler, they don't want him that close to the box. I don't know, but it seems like maybe there's some versatility issues there. Are there going to, I mean, the size and his speed and his press ability thinks he could bump the slot the next level. I feel like he could. However, maybe it's because the change of direction can be so slow. Maybe it's because that separation can really widen really quickly in a route. Maybe that's why. I just think it's a little side note that I picked up upon. I don't know exactly what it means, but it is something that I thought I would bring up. May not mean that much. It may just be they got better options. They don't need to do it. They don't need him out there every single play. But it is something that I did notice about Stokes. I would say Eric Stokes, man, he's hard to judge because I just haven't seen a lot. I know he has some really good numbers recently, the 4 interceptions. I mean, that's really good. He has some good numbers recently. There's no question. And he's winning against some really good competition. So I feel like he's battle tested. It's just, I'm a little bit worried about the PI calls a little bit there. That is one of the biggest things that I'll have to see, and change of direction can be an issue. It's Eric Stokes, and that moves us on to the 4th round. And coming in the 4th round, we have another edge here, and this is kind of why I think Romeo maybe isn't back. I don't know. You can let me know, Kobe, but I don't think he's bringing Romeo back, and that's okay. And with this pick, he selects an edge. And this edge, can you guess it? Try to guess. At 112 is Quincy Roche, 6'4", 245 pounds. Now, I loved this pick as soon as I saw your mock. I loved it because I know Quincy Roche seems like a sleeper for some reason. For some reason, Quincy Roche is one of my bigger sleepers for this class because I don't know what it is. He just doesn't get the kind of attention. Maybe it's his size. Maybe it's because he's not super athletic and he's not super quick and speedy, and you think he would be because he's only 245 pounds. He actually put on that weight this season to get a little bit bigger. Maybe you're expecting more in terms of that of his game. And I'm not saying he's slow. You just kind of maybe expect like an absolute, just flying off the edge, and you don't really get that with Quincy Roche. Out that, Quincy Roche has been so productive. 25 sacks in 3 years for Quincy Roche. And also, because of that size, he's very, very natural. He can just drop into a flat cover. He actually had a pick on that on Lawrence. I don't know if it counted or not, but I was watching him play against Clemson. He had an interception against Lawrence dropping into a flat quickly. But he can do that really well. He drops and covers the flats really quickly off the edge, and he's usually not a slight behind. Now, size will be a factor. I think size will definitely be a factor depending on where he's drafted. You'll see him both with his hand in dirt and out of the dirt. You'll see him kind of play off the edge outside the tackle, and you'll see him go up one-on-one against the tackle at times as well too. It'll be something to keep in mind because 245 isn't very big for a defensive end, no matter the scheme. If you're on the line against tackle, that's pretty small. So it will be something that he may have to address at the NFL level, and that could take away from maybe some of that athleticism that he has. But I feel like he moves pretty effortlessly throughout the defensive line during the play, kind of works his way, what is that? Latitude. laterally. He works his way laterally really well. When you see him as a pass rusher, he's really got two go-to moves I've seen. I've seen a nice little rip through, and I've seen the swim. The rip through to the outside, it's really just quick. It's quick hands. It's boom. It's meet the offensive lineman, quick attack, kind of just shove him off, get to the outside, and he's there fast. The other move is set up that way with the swim back to the inside, and he works his way in to get the quarterback. That's really all I've seen. I haven't seen much variation aside from that, so he definitely has room to expand upon that. But I think the best thing that I took away, and I might be going over 3 here, my favorite thing I took away, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, read and react. One of the most important parts, man. It's always overlooked. The way that he recognized the screen in like a split second was so impressive. Now, he didn't make a play. He got ran over by a lineman, but he recognized that it was a screen and he stopped rushing. I'm talking like right off the snap. He steps in 1 second. He sees the lineman going through, steps back. He's like, oh, it's a screen. He was one of the only guys to step back, and he stepped back, got himself in spot to get ran over by a lineman, but he noticed it. It tells me he's aware of what's going on. Now, some things I worry about. As a counter, I don't see a lot of power there. As a counter rusher, you will see him get kind of stood up at times. If that first initial strike, boom, to the outside or swim to the inside doesn't work, he kind of just is stood up. He'll stand there, he'll have to back off and kind of just wait in a spy. I mean, there's not a lot of counter to his game. Seem to get sucked inside. Now, as I praise Rashod Weaver for his ability to set the edge, I take that praise away from Quentin Roche. The guy is so inconsistent setting the edge. I mean, he finds himself biting on things to the inside constantly. Read options, you see him, it's like candy for him, man. He just knows, he's like, oh, I'm making a play, and he jumps on it, and then they go to the outside, and there's no one there. It's like, oh, I saw that too many times with this game. That's really just discipline. You'll see him just kind of fire it, trying to make the play too often, and also not the most power, but some that has to do with the size. He's extremely productive for his size, and I think he could get a little bit bigger at the next level. I also want to see a little bit more consistency, but he did really well to me in one-on-one reps at the Senior Bowl as well, and he showed up that he can go against tackles. So for a guy that's 245 pounds, that's not the fastest player at his size, and you would think that'd be a strong suit in his calling card. For him to not even have the most pass rush moves in his arsenal, will find a way to continue to get production. I think that if he fell to day 3, you'd be a really, really solid value pick. I mean, I'm a really strong value pick because I think Quentin Roche is, I've talked about him a few times, but I like him a lot as a sleeper. And that moves us to the final pick in this mock draft. And at 154, the Detroit Lions select, can you guess it? I'll give you one shot. We've talked about him a few times, so that is your hint. How about another one? He's out of a small school. Small school, we've talked about him many times. Can you guess it? Maybe not even a small school. I would say just not a Power 5 conference. Did you guess it? Maybe you didn't. This is Dwane Eskridge out of Western Michigan at 5'9", 190. Okay, I'm going to sit right here and tell you right now. I'm telling you right now. Hey, the draft let you do it, so do it. This guy's going day 2. He's going day 2. I'm sold. He's going day 2. I've watched even more of Dwane Eskridge, man. I've watched so much of Dwane Eskridge. He's going day 2. I don't see a scenario this guy falls out of this 3rd round. I just don't see it. And if he does, he's going picked up quick in the 4th. I don't know how teams will overlook this. I mean, teams love speed, and he gives you that. And he was so good with Western Michigan. And then he goes to the Senior Bowl, and you're like, well, he does not run around a lot of routes, which he wasn't. He was kind of just go by. Sometimes he run a little out route or a screen. It was like, that's all he's doing, or a slant. It wasn't much to it. Not a lot of complexity there. But then you saw him at the Senior Bowl do all these routes. I mean, he's super shifty, and corners are having a hard time keeping up with him. I mean, he's just really tough on an island, and they're going to be like, man, we're gonna jump on him. I don't think Eskridge falls out of day 2. That's just my bold prediction. First in yards after the catch at 14.4. 14.4, first in the FBS. What? Like I said, he had a nice, really, really nice Senior Bowl. One more thing that I like about him. How can I be different? We already know how fast he is, so I don't even know if I need to jump on that. Let's just say, okay, here's one. I think, his quarterback play wasn't the best. I know his drop rate isn't the best. He does have some drops. The quarterback play wasn't the best. I saw some easy drops, maybe easier ones for his comeback to football. But the ball placement was really, really off by the quarterback play at Western Michigan consistently. So balls were tipped at the line, things like that. Things that I'm a little worried about, I think definitely physical corners. Physical corners can get the best of him. If you get a safety over top where you can't go by, now you got an issue, because I saw Cameron Bynum did a really good job against him. Maybe a little too handsy, but I think physical corners can be a problem. He's not a very physical receiver. As much as, he'll put effort towards blocking, he's not a very physical receiver. He's just not built like that, really. And he looks way taller. I think at the MAC, he was able to get away with it, and he didn't face a lot of press at the MAC. No one wanted to press this dude. But I think when you get physical corners against him at the next level, he can have issues, which means I think he'll be more of a slot than an outside receiver, depending on who he's matched up against in that game. So that was kind of how I saw Cameron Bynum, and I started to really like him. I started to watch him a lot. I like Cameron Bynum. Don't sleep on that dude, the corner out of Cal. Don't sleep on him. But I think that's one of the biggest things. Also, completing a catch through the process. I would would say that. So when you talk about contested rate, I think it's just finishing through the process. Not a ton of contested, grabs on his resume. You did see a few, but really it's taking the hit and pulling it in. It's catching the ball first, but then finishing through that process. Too many times the ball bounces out. He doesn't hold the ball all the way through. I don't know if that's a hands issue. I don't know if that's concentration. I don't know what it is, but taking a hit while he's catching it, it's kind of a difference between him and a guy like Elijah Moore. Right? Elijah Moore finishes that. He doesn't always finish that consistently. And I would also, what else can I throw in here? I would say, limited route tree, I guess. But like I said, he kind of showed himself off in the Senior Bowl. So I like him. I think that home run speed puts him day 2. I just don't think he'll fall this far. But if you get him this spot, you just stole that guy. So here's what I'm thinking. So here's what he told me on Instagram. Obi said that no trades. Duo of running backs, a great duo, by the way, amazing duo. 2 receivers, 2 edge that are going to be monsters, and we get 2 solid linebackers. So if you did this, if you don't bring Golladay back, which I'm thinking might be the case here. If you don't bring Romeo back, that can save you some money. And then he says get 2 solid linebackers. You could probably do that without bringing the other guys back. I mean, if the money that you would have spent on maybe a Golladay tag or a Romeo extension, you might be able to grab a nice little linebacker, possibly 2. Maybe one on the cheaper side and maybe a young core player as well at linebacker. So he took a different approach, but with no trades, it's difficult, man. This is why we want to trade back. But I would say each pick going through JaMarr, I think JaMarr, without trading back, it's really difficult. It's kind of that or linebacker. I mean, that's really, you either go receiver or you go linebacker. And if JaMarr falls to 7, it's going to be tough to pass on that if you're not going to move back or if you can't move back. Najee at 41, man, I got a soft spot for my running back. So you already know I love that pick. Rashod Weaver, I like Rashod a lot. I don't know if he has that crazy high upside as a pass rusher, but I know he's very polished, and I know he's going to give you a lot of impact day 1. So I think if you just want a quick replacement that's going to fill in and you won't see a huge drop-off, I think Rashod is one of the better players you can get for the edge spot. Maybe he won't become, one of the best pass rushers out there, but I know that he'll come in and he'll be a reliable player. Eric Stokes is an interesting one. Not sure if I'm completely sold on him or not. Like I don't know. I'm kind of like in the middle. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, I think round 3 is solid value from what I've seen. I don't know. I guess it's a good thing that they aren't targeting him. I like the competition he's went against. He's battle tested. I think in zone, he doesn't look lost in zone. I don't know if he's a better zone player than a man player, but he doesn't seem lost. I feel like he showed the production this year. He showed his ability to get off of a play and go make a play on another. I feel like he's going to be ready. The only big concern I have here is that change of direction, because I think that may tie in with the reason he has the penalties. Because if he always has his hands, on a receiver, at least one hand trying to kind of guide him, I'm thinking that's because his change of direction is a little slow, and, they're going to call that in the NFL. I mean, I know it's not super egregious, but they do call it in the NFL, so it is concerning because you don't want that to consistently pile up. That can be an issue, and I think change of direction, change of flipping hips, fluidity as a cornerback is super important, but I know the speed is there. I know that he can press. I know that he's going to fight. Man, maybe 3rd round is kind of like, boom, right in the middle. So what do you guys think? Comment below your thoughts on Eric Stokes. Quincy Roche is, don't sleep. Size will be the biggest factor, though, for him. And Eskridge is going day 2. Let me know your thoughts, comments below, man. Thank you for watching. Been holding tape the whole time, and I'm out.